The first time Ava heard the sound, she thought it was the wind. A soft scratching behind the wall of her grandmother's old farmhouse, like fingernails across wood. She had just moved in after the funeral. The house now hers, inherited and untouched since the day her grandmother passed in her sleep. It was a bitter November evening, and the wind clawed through the trees outside like something angry. Ava lit a single lamp in the living room, casting long shadows across the peeling wallpaper. She was about to go to bed when she heard it again. Scratch, scratch, scratch. This time it was rhythmic, deliberate. She pressed her ear to the wall. Silence. Then a whisper, faint, barely audible, but unmistakable. You found it, didn't you? Ava yanked herself back, heart pounding. The wall was cold beneath her fingers. Too cold. She grabbed a flashlight, aimed it at the baseboard, and noticed a hairline crack she hadn't seen before. Something had been pried open and then sealed shut. She knelt down, and there, behind the panel, tucked into a hollow space, was an old, leather-bound diary. Its cover was brittle, scorched at the edges, and when she opened it, the pages trembled in her hands, as if breathing. The first entry was dated October 13th, 1963, and the name signed at the bottom wasn't her grandmother's. It was someone else's, someone no one had ever spoken of. Ava Whitmore wasn't superstitious, at least not until she stepped foot inside that house. She was 29, a freelance archivist for historical properties, raised in the city, grounded in logic. Her grandmother, Eleanor, had always been the strange one in the family, eccentric, secretive, and fiercely protective of her home in the quiet Pennsylvania countryside. Ava had only visited a handful of times as a child, each visit feeling more like an intrusion than a family trip. Now, with no other relatives left, Ava had inherited the place, a creaking, time-worn farmhouse with dust in every corner and silence heavy in the air. It should have felt like a peaceful retreat, but it didn't. Since her first night there, small things kept bothering her. Not enough to scare her, but just enough to unsettle. The clocks never seemed to stay in sync. She'd fix them, only to find them all frozen at 3:17 a.m. the next morning. Her phone's battery drained inexplicably overnight, even on airplane mode. And twice now, she'd found the front door unlocked when she was sure she'd locked it. At first, she blamed stress, grief, the isolation, but the diary changed everything. She flipped through the first few entries under candlelight. The handwriting was elegant, old-fashioned, and the voice behind it, calm but strange, wrote as though they were watching someone, documenting the neighbors, their routines, their secrets. Every name mentioned in the diary matched people from Ava's childhood memories, people who had lived in town. Some were still alive, but what made her blood run cold was that one entry described her as a little girl, visiting the house in 1999. But the entry was dated before she was born, and signed by someone named Marjorie Vale, a name she had never heard, a name that didn't exist in any family record. As the firelight flickered, Ava flipped to the next page. There was something drawn in the margin, a sketch of her, sleeping in the bedroom upstairs. The next morning, Ava couldn't shake the image from her head, the drawing. It wasn't just a likeness. It was exact, down to the scar on her cheek from when she fell off her bike at age 7. Whoever had drawn it had seen her. That realization clung to her like frost, and the farmhouse suddenly felt colder, more aware. She spent the morning combing through every drawer, shelf, and dusty box in the attic. She needed answers. By noon, she'd found another journal, hidden beneath a loose floorboard in her grandmother's bedroom closet. This one was older, the leather cracked and pages yellowing with age. It was filled with entries assigned MV Marjorie Vale. Who was she? More disturbing was the tone of the entries. They weren't diary reflections. They were records, observations. Every family who had lived in this house since 1932 was listed. Their names, habits, secrets. One page read, June 14th, 1981. Mrs. Ellison's son returns home at 2:47 a.m. with blood on his collar. He lies about a deer accident, but he buried something near the creek. I made note. Another, October 3rd, 1975, little Ava visited again. She talks in her sleep. Last night, she said the name. She remembers the basement. Ava froze. She had never, not once, been in the basement. Or had she? She didn't even know there was a basement. The floor plan didn't show one. She pulled it up on her laptop again, the original blueprint from 1899. Nothing. Yet in the hallway behind the pantry, beneath an old rug, she found it, a seam in the floor. A hatch. She stared at it, heart pounding, hand hovering over the rusted metal ring. Before she could touch it, she heard a creak upstairs. Slow, deliberate. She wasn't alone. But when she climbed the steps, each one colder than the last, there was no one there. Only the bedroom door, now closed, and on it another drawing, pinned with a nail. A sketch of her again, this time standing in front of the hatch. Ava didn't sleep that night. She locked every door, unplugged the lights, and sat with her back against the wall, the drawing clenched in her fist. But the house didn't care. It breathed. She could hear it. The soft hum through the vents, the moan of the floorboards like someone pacing above her bed, slow, thoughtful, waiting. By morning, something had shifted. The diary was gone. She hadn't moved it. She was certain it had been under her pillow, tucked there like a strange, protective charm. But now it was missing, and in its place, neatly resting on the nightstand, was another drawing. This time it was the basement hatch, open, with a figure crawling out. Ava's hands shook as she examined the page. The figure was small, childlike, but its face was blank, just pale, smudged charcoal where eyes and a mouth should have been. Her name was scrawled in looping, shaky handwriting at the bottom. Come back down, Ava. You forgot what you did. She tried to leave. She ran to her car, keys already clenched in hand, but the engine wouldn't start. The battery, brand new just days ago, was completely drained. Her phone, too, dead. She walked toward the main road, desperate to flag someone down. But no one came. No cars passed. No sang. Even the wind had stopped. The house waited. When she returned, dusk was falling, and so was her sense of reality. The paintings on the walls had changed. There were no longer pastoral scenes of old fields and barns. They now showed people, familiar ones, her parents, her younger self, her grandmother, all of them facing the same direction, staring toward the hallway, toward the hatch. Ava screamed, tore one of the paintings down. Behind it, carved into the wood, were the words, I remember you. That night, Ava dreamed of the basement. But in the dream, she was a child again, holding hands with someone she couldn't see. A voice whispered to her, low and cold, You made a promise. You said you'd come back. Why did you leave me here? She awoke, gasping, drenched in sweat, and, at the foot of her bed, the hatch lay open. A trail of wet, muddy footprints led from the hallway to her door. And just beneath the floorboards, something breathed back. Ava didn't remember opening the hatch, but she was down there, barefoot, cold. The old wood stairs creaked beneath her as if reluctant to hold her weight. The light from her flashlight flickered, barely slicing through the darkness that clung to the walls like something alive. She could feel it, the heavy breath of something waiting just beyond the beam's reach. Then she saw them, the drawings, hundreds of them, pinned to the basement walls with rusted nails and broken glass. Each one childlike, frantic, faces twisted in terror, eyes scratched out, mouths open in silent screams. Some were crumpled, others stained, and every single one had her name written on it. Ava stumbled backward, nearly tripping over a wooden toy horse, broken in half, one eye gouged out. She recognized it. She hadn't seen it since she was 6 years old. The air shifted. A soft sound echoed from the far end of the room, scraping. She turned, flashlight trembling in her grip, and saw something that stopped her heart. A mirror, old, cracked, filthy with dust. And yet, her reflection was perfectly clear. But she wasn't alone in it. Behind her stood the child, the one from the drawings. Small, hollow-eyed, its mouth sewn shut. Ava turned, but nothing was there. Back to the mirror, and it was closer. Tears welled in her eyes. She stepped back, and the reflection didn't move with her. It stayed where it was, staring. Then the child smiled. The mirror shattered, but no sound came. The silence was total, like the world had stopped breathing. And somewhere, deep in her mind, something snapped. Memories came rushing back, fragmented images she had buried long ago. A game in the basement. A little boy. A locked door. Screaming. Begging. Blood on her hands. A promise broken. Ava fell to her knees, her scream swallowed by the dark. The child hadn't come from the house. It had come from her. The air upstairs had changed. Ava stumbled out of the basement, clutching the diary to her chest like it was the only thing anchoring her to reality. The walls groaned as if protesting her presence, the wallpaper curling back to reveal names. So many names, scrawled underneath in the same frantic hand that filled the diary. She recognized one of them. Her brother's. The one no one ever spoke of. The one she was told had run away when she was a child. But now she remembered the truth. He didn't run. He hid in the walls. Because of her. Ava's hands trembled as she flipped through the diary, pages tearing from the force. She stopped on an entry dated October 13th, 1999. The ink was darker than the rest. Almost wet. She locked him in there. Said it was part of the game. She forgot to come back. The page bled. Literally. The ink dripped down her fingers, thick and red. The diary cried. Suddenly, every light in the house shut off at once. Silence roared back in. Then static. The TV in the living room, unplugged since the first night, lit up on its own. A distorted image flickered onto the screen. A basement. That same mirror. Ava watched, unable to move, as the reflection of herself walked into view. Only it wasn't her. Not anymore. It was older. Paler. Its eyes were black voids, hollow and hungry. The mirrored Ava turned and stared directly at the screen, through it, through her. Then it raised its hand and pointed. Behind her. Ava turned. The hallway was stretching. The house wasn't just a house. It was a trap, built to hold guilt, pain, forgotten things. Something was walking toward her. Slowly. Soft bare feet padding against the wooden floor. She dropped the diary, but it landed open on a new page. A page that hadn't been there before. Only one can leave. The light surged. The figure stood in front of her. It was the boy, but his face was hers now. And he whispered the last words he ever said before she locked the door on him as a child. Let's play one more time. The police report was short. One body found. Ava's, curled up in a corner of the old basement. Eyes wide open, but completely black. No wounds. No signs of a struggle. Just gone. Like the life had been peeled away. They sealed off the house. Again. Neighbors whispered again. Another tragedy in a cursed home. But that wasn't the part that spread online. A month later, a user on a niche paranormal forum posted a grainy photo. Said it was taken on a disposable camera they found under a floorboard near Ava's body. The image? A girl, staring into a mirror. Except there was no reflection. Only words, scratched onto the glass behind her. She finally remembered. The post went viral. People started breaking into the house again. Some filmed videos. Others claimed they heard scratching behind the walls or laughter in empty rooms. In one video, now banned and nearly scrubbed from the internet, showed something else entirely. A glimpse of a figure standing in the corner of room 2B. Not Ava. Not the boy. A woman. Pale. Watching. Writing. In the mirror, she never blinked. She only moved when you looked away. And when she did, she was always holding the diary. Still writing. Still remembering. Still adding new names.